Okay, alumni, are we ready? They just love each other so much that they love to talk to each other, right? Hey, welcome to the Sycamore Alumni Panel. We are so excited to have these great group of alumni back to share their high school experiences with all of us so that we can learn from them, hear how the foundation that we have provided from Sycamore is serving them well in high school, hear about all the activities and the well-rounded education they're getting at their current high school right now. So I'm going to turn it over to Mary O'Malley, who is our alumni coordinator, who is moderating the event.
I'm Mary O'Malley, and in case you don't know me, thank you. I'm Mary O'Malley, and in case you don't know me, this is my 23rd year at Sycamore School. I started out teaching language arts to 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grades until 2014, and then I was middle school coordinator for a while, and now I am the alumni coordinator. And my day started out rather interesting. I was helping a preschooler shop this morning during Gifts Galore. I'm sure you all remember Gifts Galore fondly. And as I was walking around with her picking out gifts, I thought, gosh, in 10 years, this 4-year-old preschooler could perhaps be serving on my alumni panel. And I thought, this is what Sycamore School is all about. Here I am this morning helping a preschooler. Tonight, I get to be with the alumni. And then I was thinking about the metaphor of shopping. And I know how much all you guys love metaphors. And I was thinking it's kind of like this alumni panel, shopping in the alumni panel. Tonight, you're just looking, right? You're just browsing. And as your selection process goes on, you will narrow it down and you'll be shadowing. And the shadowing, going to different high schools, is kind of like trying on the outfit, right? And then you'll decide which school you want to go to, so you'll be buying it. And then once it's yours, when you go for your freshman year, we hope that you enjoy it and that, of course, that it's a really good fit. So now I'm going to start off with the panel, and I'm going to start off with some freshman questions about the search and selection process and what advice you would give to the middle school students as they just start to consider the schools and begin the search and selection process, which of course would include shadowing. So Annabelle, what advice would you have for these middle school students?
Okay, so
Because they're just starting out thinking about it.
okay, so the advice that I would give is to really pay attention during your shadow day, because for me, my shadow day was it was a really important part of my decision process for university, and it really helped me like get a feel for the school and the community, which is honestly what made me decide to go to university, was the community. So just paying attention to that would definitely be what I would say.
Did you shadow anywhere else?
Just university.
And I remember your mother telling me that when you got home from there, she said you felt like you were home, which is very important.
Yeah.
So anybody else on the panel shadow a few different high schools and can give some advice to those that are going to shadow a few different ones? Because normally I think you pick 2 of them, don't you? And you can go, or perhaps even more. Charlotte?
So I shadowed at 4 different schools. And I would say if you're shadowing at multiple schools, like right after you get done, like write down what you thought about that school, so that even later, like you're not just like mentally comparing between the two. You have like what your first impression was, and like what you thought immediately after going.
So what was it about Cathedral?
I really liked how everyone was willing to like talk to you and help you if you got lost. One of the things that really stood out to me was when my shadow host brought me to meet the Simcoe Cathedral, and I felt like she really just cared about me, both as a person, as a student, and as an athlete, and that
together to the same one.
Yeah, so I have a twin, and we both looked at high schools at the same time, like separately but together. So we didn't know if we were going to end up at the same school. We were like, it would be nice if we did, but we wanted to be independent, and if we end up at the same school, great. If not, we want to be at the school that's the best fit for us.
And Isabel Hargrove, she's a junior at Brebeuf.
So I feel like one of the really important things is just like take into account like the vibe of the school. Like you're like a Sycamore student, right? So like wherever you go, like you can be pretty confident that like you can make a path for yourself academically, right? Like there's a lot of schools I could have gone to if I was looking at like purely academics that like it would have been great. It would have been probably just as good as the school I'm at now. But like you really gotta feel the vibe. Like when I went to Brebeuf, I was like, whoa, I can like talk to teachers and they're like already my friends. Like people are showing me places like where I can just like build stuff or like mess around, or like there's something for everybody there, and like wherever you wanna like fit in and do your stuff, like there's a place. So that's really important. Just like if you feel you can be at home, like Annabelle.
Avi, can you speak to that in a little bit about the fact that she just said there's a little bit of something for everybody there? What's your little bit of something that you found so far? Avi is just a freshman at Brebeuf.
I think the best thing that I found so far is the group of friends that you can make, because Brebeuf doesn't seem that big a school, but really there's a group for everyone. And as a freshman going in, I really didn't know if I was going to make friends. But when I went to summer school and I played a fall sport, I gained a lot of new friends that way. And through that, I was able to talk to a lot of the upperclassmen. And so they definitely showed me around the school, and that definitely helped a lot, because now the areas that I'm interested in, say for instance band, I'm able to find those kinds of kids in Brebeuf and hang out with them a lot. So whether you like robotics, whether you play football, anything like that, there's definitely a place that you can fit in.
And you two are in band together, correct? Mm-hmm. And who else went to Brebeuf from your class?
Oh, okay. So there's Sam Rudofsky,
Mm-hmm.
then there's Heidi, there's Raina, there's Innie.
Jack, didn't you?
Yeah, Jack Foltz did, Larissa. And there's a couple others that I can't remember right now. I think 9 in total went there.
Yeah, so quite a few went there. Now, Sophie and I were talking at dinner. Sophie Farnham, freshman from North Central, and it was just Sophie and one other boy that went there, correct? And Sophie's hair is still wet, by the way, because she came straight from swimming. She has a very, very busy day. Would you tell them a little bit about what you were telling me? It was a little tough at first being just one of two and the only girl from your class going there.
Yeah, it was hard because just the school is so big. It's very likely that either you'll have a class with one person and then never see them for like the rest of the day, or you just won't have a class with one person ever. And it's very odd. It can make it feel a bit more like isolated. However, you have to do things, because then you can pretty quickly make a circle of people you know, and then sooner or later those people will start showing up in your classes, and that just makes the school seem much smaller, if that was what you were asking.
Yes, and of course, being on the swim team helps, because
Yeah.
then you have a group of people. And Andrew Hagstrom's a senior at North Central, and they actually just met each other for the first time tonight. Can anybody else give any more advice about the selection and the search process in the shadowing? Anybody else on the panel want to address?
Yeah, I can talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
I shadowed
This is Cooper Graybow, a sophomore from Park Tudor.
So I also shadowed at university and Park Tudor. And I know that something that really helped me reduce the stress of the whole selection process, because it's really intimidating. You know, you have all these deadlines and all these essays and whatnot to do. But once I had shadowed both university and Park Tudor, I really enjoyed them both. And I really came to the mindset that I would be happy no matter which place I went to. And that helped to reduce the stress. And then after that, I found out where some of my friends were going, I found out that they were going to Park Tudor, and then a couple other factors helped me make my decision. But I think reducing the stress and just making it more of, like Isabel talked about, sort of feeling the vibe and making it more of a gut choice really helps to the selection process.
Thank you. And Drew Whalen from Cathedral, he's a sophomore at Cathedral this year. You had a different story about going to Cathedral. Tell them a little bit about your shadowing experience and and being the only one from, he's the only one from Sycamore that went to Cathedral that year.
Yeah, so I shadowed both Park Tudor and Cathedral. I was looking at Park Tudor a lot more frequently, and I was Cathedral, though, as my top choice, mainly for, a lot of my friends were going there. But what really brought me back to Cathedral was because my older brother's going there, and I knew a lot of the old friends from my old school from IHM at second grade. When I went there, though, the thing is, when you see people, like I said, I still run into people every day at class that I have no idea who they are. They're in my own class. I run into them every day. It makes you feel like you don't know what you're doing. But the panelists other said, when you can find people that you can relate with, you'll see them in every class, and then it just makes this transition so much better. You need people to get the transition, and coming from Sycamore, the transition was smoother than butter on a soapy slip and slide.
Thank you. Very nice. Well put. Anybody else want to speak to shadowing or the search and selection process before I move on? Okay, go ahead.
Hi,
This is Aisha Kokan. She is a senior at university.
Yeah, so I would just say, outside of your shadow, I would do some other research, because for me, actually, I didn't like my shadow experience at university, and that's because the person I shadowed wasn't representative of what my university experience would be like. They were interested in things that were totally different than my interests, and so I went in with kind of a warped perspective of what university would be like. But after doing other research, talking to faculty at the school who did align with my interests, that's when I really kind of fell in love with the university. So I'd say, if you had a bad experience shadowing, do some more research, maybe even shadow again.
Shadow the same school again?
Yeah, if you want to, yeah.
And don't be shy. I want you to tell them a little bit about yourself quickly, about your college interests and some news you received recently.
Sure. So, I mean, the college search experience has been very fun, especially at university when you have a lot of support. My top school right now is Brown University. I really want to go to medical school, and they have a great kind of medical school program. Also, I was a national, what is it called? Yeah, National Merit semifinalist. Yeah,
that's it. She knows what it is. She just forgot what it was called.
It's a great experience, but honestly, I can say that Sycamore really prepared me for the rigor of high school. So you guys are all very prepared.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Adding on to the rigor of high school, a lot of people have always said that, high school is this crazy thing that you're not going to be prepared for. They have no idea what they're talking about. The freshman year was probably the easiest year I've ever had. My Sycamore 6th grade year was probably harder than my freshman year. So you guys are going to be 100% fine. Don't worry about that.
Thank you. Thanks, Drew. So as a freshman, what courses did you test out of? Did anybody test out of any courses, and how did that work? And we do want to hear from some Carmel people. So this is Abby Coe. She is a senior at Carmel High School this year.
Okay, so basically I started on a pretty rigorous curriculum path starting from freshman year. I tested out of regular pre-calc to take honors pre-calc. Okay, so I tested out of regular pre-calc to take honors pre-calc during my freshman year, as well as Spanish 1 to take Spanish 2, and eventually in my sophomore year I tested out of regular and honors chemistry to take AP chemistry. And so there's a lot that goes into it. Not everybody will get the opportunity to test out of these things. So if you do want to test out, you do have to prepare quite a lot, because they expect you to be at a level where they will be confident that you will succeed in those harder classes. And so I wouldn't take it lightly. We all know that you guys are smart students, but don't take that for granted, and actually work for the things that you want to do.
As well as testing out of classes, Sycamore prepares you very well to take more of the more rigorous classes that Carmel provides, and I'm sure other schools too. A lot of Sycamore kids go into AP World as a freshman at Carmel, and a lot of us are very successful due to our great history program that we have at Sycamore. They really teach us valuable note-taking skills and test-taking skills that truly prepare us to do well in AP classes even as a freshman.
This is Ava Cabellian. She's a junior at Carmel. And also, since you have the mic, I understand there was a really exciting soccer experience at Carmel. Could you tell them a little bit about that too?
Yes, I play on the varsity soccer team at Carmel, and it's been truly a really great experience for me. The group of girls that I play with, they're just so fun, and it's one of the best experiences I've had at high school. Definitely the best high school experience I've had. And this year, we made it all the way to the state championships, but unfortunately we lost 2-1 to Homestead. But that was a really valuable teaching experience for me, being able to contribute to leading a team and working together to meet a goal that you have.
Very nice. Colin, did you want to say something? This is Ava's brother. He's a freshman at Carmel High School. What classes you're taking and how your freshman year is going, because Carmel is such a big school, as is North Central, but I know Carmel also has a freshman center that I'd like you to talk a little bit about.
Adding on to Ava about classes, Sycamore really prepares you, and you're able to test into classes that you want to, and they teach you how taking efficient notes and just being prepared in general for the rigorous workload, and it also teaches you social skills, not just in the classroom but outside of the classroom, to how to cope with different types of people, and just being successful around that. And in the freshman center, most of you have the opportunity to take AP World, as Ava said, and I think our history program is really good along with our science, because I think biology class is easy for me. And
so what happens at the freshman center?
the freshman center is...
Are you secluded off from sophomores, juniors, and seniors?
About half of my classes are in the freshman center, but you're also able to, they connect you to the math rooms and world languages rooms on the other part of the high school.
Okay, anybody else testing out of things, what you were able to do and take? Go ahead, Avi.
So Sycamore definitely prepared me for all the testing out that I did. So I tested into finite, which is pretty much everything except calculus. That's a 1 semester course. Then next semester I take pre-calc. And definitely Sycamore helped me prepare for the math test out more than anything. For languages, I tested into Spanish 3, but I decided that I want to try something more unique. So I took Latin this year. So it's been a really fun experience for me so far. But if you really want to take Spanish in high school, then Profe definitely helps you with that. I also, like all the Carmel kids said, you can definitely take AP World at Brebeuf too. It's really just an option. You can just click a check on the Google form and it puts you in that class. Same for Honors English. Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot more classes that you can test out of once you get into the upperclassmen grades. But that's all the ones I'm tested out of right now.
That's a lot. Anybody else from Park Tudor or North Central testing out of classes? It's been a long time for you, so since you were a freshman, go ahead.
Yeah, so I tested out of, I tested into Spanish 3, and then I also tested into pre-calculus with differential calculus last year. That is something interesting. At Park Tudor, the history courses are a little bit more rigid, so you actually cannot take AP World as a freshman. That is probably the biggest downside that I've found so far. But besides that, I also placed into English 2+, which I'd say 75% of kids take that class. So yeah.
Grace? Yep. This is Grace Hendry. She's a junior at Zionsville.
Yeah, so I was able to kind of test into higher classes on various paths at Zionsville, which was a lot of fun. And I'd say the biggest thing that I've found, or the best thing to come from that, was that I can take more specialized classes now. I've gotten to the point where I can, instead of taking the science classes that you're required to take to graduate, I can choose more what I want to do, and so I'm taking genetics right now, which I'm actually really interested in. And I think it's really important to be actually interested in what you're learning. And I get to take a film literature class this spring, which I'm really looking forward to. And I've chosen to take AP Computer Science to get math credits, which I found to be very interesting. It's very new, and I was able to take some computer science electives along with our computer class when I was in middle school here, which kind of sparked my interest in that. And so when I saw that that was an option for me, since I had done the classes I needed to, I was really interested in it, and now I'm able to do that and kind of curate my own schedule, which is a lot of fun.
Very nice. Go ahead, Charlotte.
So, as a freshman, I tested into Spanish 3 and Honors Algebra 2, which at Cathedral, you have to take separate tests for each class that you want to test out of. So I took a test for Spanish 1, a test for Spanish 2, a test for Algebra 1, and a test for Geometry. I also know that freshmen can test out of biology to take chemistry freshman year, but I did not do that. So Cathedral doesn't have a ton of classes you can test out of, but it does have classes where you can test out of multiple different years of the same subject. One of my friends actually tested into honors pre-cal as a freshman.
Anybody else? Okay, now I want to talk a little bit about the counseling departments at your high school, the guidance counselors, because here at Sycamore, of course, you always knew you could talk to any teacher that you wanted to, and you had advisory group, but it's quite different having a little advisory group than being assigned a guidance counselor, whether you're assigned alphabetically or however they do it. So if you could talk a little bit about your guidance counseling department and what they do for you. What kind of support do you receive from your guidance counselor? Let's start with North Central.
Okay, so I'm a senior at North Central, and so I'm looking at colleges now, and so I'm in contact with the guidance office pretty often. And basically there's 3 counselors per grade of 1,000. So you don't...
So basically each counselor has over 300 students, right?
So they don't get that much, you don't get too personal with them, but I would say the teachers, I know all my teachers pretty well, they know me. Even at a big school, I find the class sizes are small, and I still have personal relationships with the teachers. With the counseling, they also, I guess they are helpful, and they get my recommendation letters out on time, so I had no problem with that. And then they also send weekly scholarships that you can apply for that I find pretty useful.
Very good. Now, I'm going to have Sophie speak on that too for a moment, but before you give up the mic, since you have it here, would you talk a little bit what you were telling me about at dinner about the Sycamore kids and the top 25?
Oh yeah, so each year there's a top 25 ceremony, and so Emmeline, Pap, Maris Morgan, and we take a picture each year because we're all Sycamore kids in the top 25, so I guess that's fun. And
so all 4 years you've been in the top 25.
All 4 years.
That's wonderful.
And then in the honors program at North Central, I think is really great, and I think what sets us apart from other schools is the IB program. And so the IB program is the International Baccalaureate program, and so on top of the AP classes, you'll take mostly the same classes, but with a little extra coursework. But you get, instead of the honors diploma at North Central, you get the IB diploma at North Central. And within the IB program, there's I think there's about 20 kids in my grade, and I think those 20 kids, I know them well, and it creates a small community. And also the AP IB coordinator, since there's such few counselors, I can actually talk to him, and he can just change my schedule, and it's really helpful to have that close-knit group in such a big school.
Thank you. So Sophie at North Central is a freshman, so basically you've just met your counselor.
Yes.
So how is your experience different, because your counselor wouldn't be helping you with looking at colleges yet?
So that sort of means that it's I don't really know my counselor very well. If I don't even think, I don't even think that I've really actually met him because they were so busy that when I was choosing classes, I actually had a counselor from a different grade. So that's one thing that I think, like, it's important to get to know your counselor, yes, but that can be difficult, and it's almost more important to get to know individual teachers and then go through that way. Just, it's a much smaller pool of people.
Right. Great advice. Okay, and how about Carmel? Because Carmel is also a very large high school. What kind of support do you get from your guidance counseling department?
Our counselors, they're always readily available whenever you need to talk to them. So if you ever want to talk about a class switch or like in the beginning of the year, whatever classes you want to take the next year, I'll submit like a request form in the morning, and they'll be available to talk to me later in the day or the next day, always. And you have a freshman counselor who helps you with your transition to 9th grade and also to pick your classes for 10th grade. And then you get a new counselor for the next 3 years of high school. But both of my counselors that I've had have been very helpful in helping me decide what courses I want to take, and they want to help you to make sure your course load isn't too much or whatever you can't handle. But they're always supportive of whatever you choose, and yeah, they're always there to help if you need them.
So I just wanted to add on what Ava said. So basically outside of school, I've been really into like music stuff. I've been studying violin at IU's pre-college program since 4th grade, I think now. And so I'm like very, very devoted to practicing and playing. And so my counselors, both my freshman and my 10 through 12 counselor, have been really, really supportive of getting like release periods so that I have more time to like practice, as well as like independent study periods where I can practice during school as well. And so there's always that kind of option, and I feel like people should be more aware of that if they want to like study into something more specialized.
So Colin, why don't you talk about your freshman counselor?
So in the summer where I had to test into some courses, I had to go to the counseling office to take the test in the room, and then previously last week during language arts, they took each student individually out into the hallway to just talk with the counselor and just make sure everything that all the courses you want to take for sophomore year are right. And along with SRT, which is like our study hall period, and teacher help period, it's like an hour and 30 minutes.
Could you explain to people what SRT means?
It's student resource time.
And it's how long?
Well, each period is an hour and 30 minutes for Carmel because it's a block schedule. Yeah. And you're able to go get help from your teachers or talk to counselor, and they had like this Zoom where everyone got on, and then you had to get on your computer, and you could select your own classes along with help from the teacher.
Very good, thank you. Okay, now let's go over to university, because they have quite a different counseling program. Really, it's mentors, correct? You don't have a guidance counselor, you have a mentor that I believe follows you for all 4 years.
Yeah.
And at the end, actually, of their 4 years, their graduation ceremony is quite touching, because the mentor is the person that speaks to you personally and hands you your diploma.
For sure, and Annabelle can add on to this a little bit. So I met my mentor freshman year. You meet with them every other week, and you spend like a lunch period and you talk to them. And it's a really great opportunity to, one, have someone in the school who you can always go to, whatever it is that your quest is. And also it teaches you how to talk to an adult, which was really great. And me and my mentor were besties. Like, we've cried together, we've laughed together, everything. So it's a really great opportunity to know someone and have such a great, like, tight-knit bond with someone in the school. Also, we have college counseling, which is a little bit a different type of counseling. I think at North Central there's like 300 kids per counselor. At university there's 2 counselors for 90 kids, so you have like 40-ish to 45 kids per counselor. so which has been really great because there's nowhere to hide at university. That's one thing, which is good because if, sometimes life gets busy, so you can kind of slack off or forget, but the teachers are always there to keep you like on your grind and accountable. So
Very good.
Yeah, and adding on to that, I think as a freshman, a lot of mentoring has been in mentoring groups, which I've found really helpful for, what was I saying? Oh yeah, sorry. I found it really helpful for finding different people, like different freshmen in my mentoring groups, and I've actually met a lot of friends that way.
So you meet with your mentor personally, and then you also have mentor groups
Yeah,
for just freshmen or for everybody?
for everybody, and it doesn't happen quite as often, but I've managed to find some friends there.
Very nice. Good. Can you tell the group a little bit about your freshman year and what you've been involved in?
Sure. So, I have been in volleyball. I did that for a few months, and then that recently ended. So then I started to join some clubs, and I did the most freshman thing possible and joined about 50. I had joined, there's GSA, Young Democrats, and quite a few that I'm currently forgetting. But, and again, all of those have been really helpful in meeting new people, which university has been really good at. And they started off pretty slow academically, so freshmen could meet new people.
Great. Okay, how about Emmeline Morse from Park Tutor? She's a sophomore at Park Tutor. Talk a little bit about the counseling there.
So we don't get guidance counselors officially, but we do have advisors, which we meet with every morning. And it's not like a one-on-one, it's like a group of about, say like 8 to 12 maybe. And my guidance counselor is actually the college counselor. And so I've been able to talk to her about, college decisions as a sophomore, and it's been really great. And she had to help the entire junior and senior class this year because they were implementing 2 more guidance counselor or college counselors. And so when I wasn't able to talk to her, I was able to meet with another one of our college counselors, and we just had like a 50-minute long meeting during one of my free periods, and it was fantastic to talk to him because he's someone who I hadn't known before, and he's a brand new college counselor. He had never been at Park Tutor before, and he was really helpful for me because he actually was someone who worked with acceptances at Denison University in Ohio, and it was just really amazing to just talk to him about the certain things that I would like in a college because I have 2 older siblings, so I've been through the college counseling a couple of times, and their college counseling I know is very one-on-one, you get multiple times each month to talk to them, and our college counselors as sophomores get assigned in February, so we haven't officially gotten that, but your guidance counselors or your advisors are always there to talk to you, and it's been really great. And my guidance counselor, at least, we're doubled with someone else because we're in the library, which is a pretty big room. And so technically I have 2 advisors, and it's been really great. You just have that adult to talk to whenever you need something, and they always reach out. If I was having a little bit of a hard time with my family, something happened in September, and my my guidance counselor immediately reached out and just asked if there was anything I needed, and it was it felt really great. It was very personal, and she talked to me for a while afterwards, and she's very one-on-one with you. So I think college guidance counselors are really important at Park Tutor.
Thank you. Great. Charlotte.
So one of the things I think that makes Cathedral really special is not exactly with the guidance department, but kind of adjacent to it. So for freshmen first semester at Cathedral, there's a program called peer mentoring where a small group of seniors get training to help mentor freshmen, and then for the first semester they are put in freshman resources to just talk with them, help make sure that they're keeping up with the transition and just getting acclimated to Cathedral. And that was a really big help for me my freshman year. My peer mentor was amazing, and it really helped me feel like I could get to know someone who wasn't just a freshman or someone who I kind of knew through the swim team, but someone who I could talk to almost every day and just talk to them about struggles I was having with classes, get advice about situations, and just help with everything.
And how about Brebeuf? I know, Isabel, you worked really hard preparing your answers. She actually wrote
Oh,
out her
yeah.
answers, so I want you to be able to say some things.
At Brebeuf, so you have like an academic counselor who will like help you pick your classes and stuff, and like you have to meet with them to like pick your classes, and they're pretty awesome, like, cause you basically just go in and they're like, what are you interested in? Like, what do you want to learn about? And you tell them, and then they got like the game plan, like they just write out the classes like, you know, it's like magic, and then they just have a schedule for you. You're like, oh my gosh, that looks so fun. Like every day would be so fun. And then there's also like a college counseling office where like there's like a lot of people in the college counseling office, and cause like at Brebeuf they're like hounding you for college. Like sophomore year is like the beginning of the end. Like they're like on you, and like you can just like to your academic counselor or your college counselor, like you can just go in whenever you want and just like talk with them. Like if you want to just like know more about colleges, like then like they'll be happy to talk to you about it. Or like you're like thinking, actually like we planned this for my senior year, but like I was thinking of doing this. Like you can totally go in like whenever you want. And also there's like a social worker lady who I don't know if that counts as counseling, but like she's awesome. Like you can totally go in and talk to her whenever you want. Like she's one of those people who like, if you have a question about anything, but you don't really know who to ask, you just ask her and like she'll tell you who to go to, and she like help you with anything. Like you can just go into her office and be like, I am really stressed right now. I cannot go to pre-calc. And she'll be like, okay, I'll write you a pass. Like you can sit in here and like chill out. And so it's really amazing. Like you have support from like so many people.
So basically, there's an academic counselor, a college counselor, college counselors, and a social worker.
Mm-hmm.
So Avi, have you met with your academic counselor being a freshman?
So yeah, right now it's a mandatory course for every freshman. It's called Freshman Seminar. It's a course led by your academic counselor, and it's by last name. So I'm with a bunch of people who I'm probably going to be around for the rest of my years there, considering we have the same last name-ish. And so I just wrote out my 4-year plan with my college counselor. It's what I want to take every single class for the rest of my year. It's kind of just a rough outline of what my schedule is going to look like. And so whenever I have any questions, I'll just reach out to him. He'll be great and change it easily for me. And also, kind of what Isabel said, they're really counting on you ever since it's a sophomore year. I think it's a 1-to-75 ratio, students to college counselor. And you also do an application boot camp where each of the college counselors reviews your essays and make sure that you get feedback on all of it. And then I remember they have these little bells in the college counseling office. And so whenever when you're accepted into a school, you go in there and you ring a bell. And when I was shadowing there at the beginning of last year, I was just hearing the bells constantly ringing. So I think I could tell from that the college counselors are pretty great.
Wonderful. Anybody else about the counseling department?
All right. So at Zionsville, we have a mentor access period, which you have once a week, and that is a great place to connect with kind of a mentor figure, because you have a teacher with a class of like less than 20 students, and you can just talk to them about anything. They have little presentations that the school like lets them know to do every week, and they will be about like bullying or mental health, or just really helpful things like that. And then you can visit teachers the rest of the period if you need to like take tests, just like talk to a counselor, something like that. Or you can also just talk to your math teacher, which is really fun because you can have serious conversations about like mental health. Or I had like a hypothetical conversation with my math teacher about like what would happen if the Muppets did Animal Farm. Like that was a thing. We also have guidance counselors, and I was honestly like a little afraid to reach out to my guidance counselor my first year, like at least in the ways that they recommend you do. I would only look to her for like scheduling stuff because that was really necessary. But I found her to be really helpful when last year I had a teacher whose policies with being online were not super helpful to my friend who was having some mental health issues, being at home especially. So I was able to reach out to her and just talk about the teacher and what was going on with that, and that was really helpful. And I was able to schedule a meeting about scheduling one time, and I just came in and I was like, hey, I'm kind of worried. She's like, about what? And I was like, I don't know, just kind of everything. She was like, do you want to make a 4-year plan with me? And I was like, oh God, yes, that would be really helpful. And so they kind of, it can just kind of settle your nerves to have someone there to reach out to, just who's always available, like there for you. Whether it's a math teacher, whether it's any other teacher, whether it's your counselor, you always have someone there.
At this time, I'd like to open up some questions from the audience. I didn't actually get any questions submitted, but I didn't know if anyone sitting there would like to ask a specific question to any one of the panelists. Okay. Well, I want to go through a few more things then. I just wanted to save time to make sure we had enough time in case you wanted to ask something. Tell me, what makes you want to get up in the morning and go to Carmel?
I know Carmel is a huge school. There's currently 5,400 kids enrolled at Carmel High School currently, so it seems crazy. It seems so intimidating. I remember I was so intimidated, but ultimately the thing that makes me feel so happy to be at Carmel is ultimately like my friends, my classmates. I think just like the sheer diversity and like variety of people at Carmel is really amazing. And I think once you find a community there, it's like the best thing in the world. And so I think my best advice to like incoming freshmen, especially at a place like Carmel or North Central or Zionsville, like bigger high schools, would just be to get involved. Like there's nothing better than to just join a bunch of clubs, maybe join a choir or a band or something, or do a sport or something, because that's the only way that you'll be able to truly find a community of people at your school.
So how many go to Carmel, did you just say?
Currently 5,432.
So in what ways do you think, what does Carmel do to make that large size seem more like a small community? Because you were talking about that you have to join a club, you have to do this. You just spoke about the counselor coming out and getting you and talking to you, but what do you think they do best about making that very large 5,000 plus student body a small community? And I know the freshman center helps for sure.
Right, yeah, the freshman center helps a lot. I think Carmel has focused a lot on its incoming freshman class. So Ava currently is a GCOM, and I'm currently serving on GCOM council this year.
What does that mean?
And yeah, so GCOM is it stands for Greyhound Kickoff Mentor, and it's basically like the freshman mentoring program at the high school, and it's basically entirely like student-led and student-driven basically, and essentially once a month, a group of GCOMs will go to their assigned homeroom and do all sorts of activities and just talk with their freshmen. And I know as a freshman, for me, it was helpful to have older students to look up to and get advice on teachers or maybe classes that I should take in the future. And I think having an upperclassman is by far the most important resource at the high school, just because they have the experience, because maybe you won't have as close of a connection with your counselor, right? But at least you have older students to look up to that honestly have given me some of the best advice while I've been at this school.
Great.
I've also kept in touch with one of my GCOMs, and we became really good friends over the years. And it's just a really great program to help freshmen get used to the school, and just if they have any questions at all, we're there to answer them. So they don't have to go to an adult if they don't want to. It's student-based mentoring. Another highly student-led organization is Carmel Dance Marathon. We have the biggest dance marathon for the high schools in the country. And it's truly an amazing experience to be a part of. It's a part of student government, so the majority of people who participate in Dance Marathon are in the House of Representatives, and then there's cabinet, which are the students who actually lead the events and create and organize all the events. But Dance Marathon is a super fun event, and at Carmel, it's a huge part of the social aspect. Everyone goes to all the events. We have a color run, tailgates before football games, fashion shows, and all kinds of other things to raise money for Riley. And the past 2 years, we've raised around $500,000 for Riley. So it's just a super fun experience to be a part of.
Thanks for the information. Anything you want to add, Colin?
You said about making the community smaller. They have the freshman kickoff right before school starts. So it's where
Right before the year starts?
Yeah, school year, yeah. And the whole class gets together with GCOMs, and the GCOMs, like, we all get together in the gym, and then there was games and activities, and you go to your SRT room, and your GCOMs talk about your classes and teachers and show you around the school, and you walk your schedule so it feels more comfortable.
Great. Very good information. Avi, give me one adjective to describe her mom.
Tight-knit. Oh, it's like that's hyphenated, but it counts.
Yes, hyphenated, but it counts. You're talking to the right person here. Other than the counseling department, tell me what else you love about going to Buff.
Okay.
She came extremely well prepared.
Number one thing I really like about Buff is the teachers, because like that was one of the things when like my number one thing when I was looking at high schools was I was like, the thing I love about Sycamore is like you can be friends with your teachers, right? And like when you're like have a good relationship with your teacher, it's like open a door to learning. Like you can ask them any questions you want. And so I was looking for a school where I could make really good relationships with my teachers, and Brebeuf was like, it totally does that. Like, I feel like I could go to my teachers whenever and just like, especially it's important for like Sycamore students, because like, you might be a little ahead of the class, right? So like, if you're good friends with your teacher, you go in, you're like, hey, do you have like extra materials for me? Or like, hey, like, can you give me some of the stuff from the class above me so I can like, study just like in my free time? And they'll be like, yeah, I would love to help you, because like that's one of the things, like teachers love students who like love to learn. So that's like one of the things that I love is like you can be like best friends with your teachers. And another thing that I didn't expect to like about Brebeuf was the religion classes, because when I went into it, I was like, wow, there's a lot of interesting classes, but unfortunately one of my slots is filled out by religion every single semester. However, okay, first semester religion class was like, it was like just like pondering philosophical questions. Like it was so interesting, and like you could just ask any questions you want. And like we had a class first semester this year which was moral decision making, which you basically studied like a lot of philosophers and like different ways to go about making moral decisions. And we also have like a social justice class. Like those are religion classes. I feel like a more apt name for them would just be like moral training or like character growth. Like I feel like I've matured a lot from my religion classes. Like so they are very important to like participate in. They're really cool.
Very nice. Okay, Drew, one adjective to describe Cathedral.
No. One adjective would be versatile, I would say. You can do like basically anything. There's so many clubs and activities and opportunities to just do literally like whatever you want to do. I'm personally like always look forward to ski club every year. We go to Perfect North like plug nine times a year, and then this year we're going to Crystal Mountain. And there's like so many clubs, and all of the students make them. And not to go on a club, I'm pretty sure a lot of high schools do this, but the high schools, they get a sponsor as well to sponsor their club, and you're able to just get such a nice bond with your teacher. There's this club called the Lumberjack Club, where literally the one thing you do is you just go somewhere and eat in like flannel jackets.
You go and eat pancakes.
Pancakes, my bad. There's so many opportunities and outlets, and Cathedral just offers that to you in a silver platter, basically.
Very nice. And it's important for Drew to join these things because Drew, he was the only one, as I've said before, to go to Cathedral from Sycamore. So I know that the social part of that's been really great for you to join those clubs.
Can I say something going off what Isabel said?
Yes.
So Cathedral is also a religious school like Brebeuf, and the religion classes were also something that I was a little unsure about going into it as a freshman, but I feel like the religion classes aren't, like, they're obviously religious, but they're, like, my class last year was all about, like, what is right and wrong and talking about morality. My class this year is about social justice and, like, how we can resolve things like racism and discrimination and poverty. And I even remember my freshman year, we talked about how there were a group of archaeologists thinking that they had found Noah's Ark. So it wasn't like overly like shoving religion down your throat, but it was a almost fun, like, here's what we can do to make the world better and question your thinking type class.
So in other words, what you're trying to say is don't the fact that you have to take a religion class sway you away from attending Rebuff or Cathedral. Yes.
Can I add to that in religion? Also Cathedral. The religion teachers are by far the chillest teachers you will ever see. Like, even in the way of teaching. Like, my freshman teacher, he would stand up, he would talk to the students, it was awesome. Your religion teachers are some of the best teachers you will ever see at Cathedral. Like, basically guidance counselors, except I would say more friendly, because you just see them a lot more.
Oh, thanks. That's really good information. Thanks.
I'm pretty sure I know the teacher Drew is talking
Yeah,
about.
but we won't say names, but yeah,
like
that's great.
Mr. Young's big stick, this teacher also has a giant staff that he walks around. He whacked a couple people's desks my freshman year.
Maybe
So
they know
much
each
fun.
other. I don't know. One adjective to describe Zionsville, or what makes you excited to get up every morning and go to Zionsville?
Does it have to be an adjective? Can it just be a word? Okay, then I'd say involvement.
Good, very nice. Which is a noun, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. University.
I would say moldable. Think of moldable. Yes, correct. So think of university as like a piece of Play-Doh, and if you want to make it into whatever you want, you can do it.
Nice.
I was gonna say creative, and yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, these two sophomores from Park Tudor.
Open. Like, it's just very open to anything you want to talk about. Like many of the other students said, you're welcome to talk about anything, and it's not a perfect school, and everyone acknowledges that, and everyone's actively working on improving themselves and improving the school to make it the best for everyone that it can be.
Very nice. I like that. Now, go ahead.
In our history class last year, at least, like, we had so many discussions about things that were obviously connected to, like, what we were learning, but it was like they'd include modern events, or at least like something that we could relate to now. And some of it wasn't always like you could be whatever side of the political spectrum, and everyone's like, I think everyone was respectful, and there was never any like eye rolls or any like scoffs when people would like say what they believed. And I think that that's one thing that's really important about Park Tudor, is that there are so many different types of people who come here, and I love that about Park Tudor, and everyone's respectful, which I think is so important.
Excellent. Okay, and how about North Central, the freshman and the senior?
I would just describe it as big, because it's huge, but like...
About how many go there? It's not as big as Carmel, though, right?
4,000
4,000,
or so.
right.
I don't know.
It's still very big.
But
And you two might now recognize each other in the hallway, because they didn't know
Maybe.
each other tonight, so now maybe you'll see each other in the hall.
I think North Central has just so many opportunities. I guess I would say nothing's handed to you, like, but I think if you go out and get involved in a bunch of different clubs, or just try out new things, get out of your comfort zone, then you'll find North Central to be everything you want it to be. It's basically you make your own college or high school experience, because it's such a big school, and you can find every club there. There's every level of sport there, and there's great academics. So.
Great. And so what are you involved in? I can see from your shirt.
Oh yeah. Right now, we just finished up my tennis season about a month ago. I've played varsity for 3 years, and we've lost to Carmel every single year. Yeah, we lost to them in state basically the state finals every single year.
That's why I put you down here.
Yeah. I guess I'm involved in National Honor Society, Spanish Honor Society. I'm the president of Habitat for Humanity at my school. I'm on the quiz bowl team, academic bowl team. So really, if anything
And he happened to be free tonight, and he said he would come. So
yeah, I think there's so many clubs. You can be in any club, and if there's not a club for it, you can make a club. Just find a sponsor.
Yes, Spencer Durham made a club. I don't remember what it was, but he made I think it was something to do with math. But he wanted to get a club going at North Central a few years ago, and he did, and he said he made a lot of friends.
Yeah, I think getting involved in clubs is a great way to connect with people.
Do you want to add anything else about North Central?
Sure. So basically, I think the term you used before was silver platter, and that's not really what happens. It doesn't, nothing really gets handed to you on a silver platter, but if you take the initiative and decide to start something, you'll find so many people who are like so invested in all these different things. They have so much enthusiasm in it. It's just really interesting if you just try it. So
great. Anybody have any final words before we wrap up the evening? Isabel.
I just have an important piece of advice. I don't know if this is working. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, I have an important piece of advice for any incoming freshmen, and this totally applies to any school. It's just something that, like...
It's good. I'm glad that it applies to any school.
It took me a while to realize. I wish I had known it coming in as a freshman, because I feel like I could have done more things I wanted to. But I feel like something that we take for granted at Sycamore is like the teachers kind of just assume that like everyone wants to learn, right? Like everyone participates in classes and like everyone wants to understand stuff. But like obviously going into a bigger school, like, I mean, even though Prof is not that much bigger, but just like a more diverse group of people, I guess. Like some people are in the classes because they want it on their college thing, or some people are in the classes because that was just the next class to take, so they're going into it. And so the teachers don't just like assume that like you want to do as much as possible. So like make sure like if you're interested in something, tell your teacher, like ask them for more stuff, or like, you know, show your enthusiasm and like let them know you're interested, and like they'll be happy to help you. But like it's just kind of a transition. Like you have to kind of communicate your needs more going to high school. But like once you do that, it's totally like, you know, you can learn lots.
Charlotte?
I just wanted to talk about a new opportunity that Cathedral is starting this year with a J-term program, where it's 2 weeks right at the beginning of second semester, where teachers have chosen like what activities they want to offer. I know some teachers are doing a J-term where they just go to different museums and explore museums. Another group of teachers is doing a J-term where they just watch movies about France and eat French food. There's also opportunities to do internships during J-term. So it's not completely cutting out regular school. Like if you're taking AP classes, you still have to do those, but it's adding in an opportunity to just choose something fun and enjoyable as you're getting back in school from break.
And I know university does that as well. That's something that they started that as long as this school's been in existence, they've had a J-term.
Yeah, so I really want to talk about J-term. So J-term is the whole month of January. You take one class, except you take your AP classes in the morning so that you don't fall behind. But I have had such a cool experience with J-term. So my freshman year, I did an artificial intelligence J-term, which I had no clue what that even was before it. But I really loved it, and I used that knowledge to actually contact like professors at IU, and started a research project with them from that J-term. And then my junior year, I was able to do an internship and shadowed a bunch of doctors in a hospital and solidified that I want to go to med school. So like life-changing things just from a January term experience. And my senior year, I'm going to Disney. So a wide variety of things.
That's awesome. And I saw Grace wanted to say something, and Avi, you want to say something quickly, and then wrap it up with you? Okay, great. Okay.
Yeah, this is on. Oh, there we go. We've recently had some really cool experiences at Zionsville, just through classes, not even through clubs or anything. I mean, there are a lot of really unique experiences you can do through clubs. But just through my English 11 class, we took a field trip to the interactive Van Gogh exhibit at Newfields. I forget what it's called, Loom. But that was very cool. We had been reading a short story called The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Gilman, and it was about mental health and the treatment of it in the 1800s, and that we also explored that concept through Van Gogh's artwork, and then we were able to connect that to this really cool, like, limited time experience that was going on in our community, which was just super cool. We also do every year this thing called Canterbury Tales, where we study the book Canterbury Tales, and then we get to write our own, and we get to dress up. And it was a little different since I did it during COVID times, but I got to, like, dress up fully as a princess and just, like, come to school and read this poem I wrote about elves. And you just get a lot of really unique experiences through your classes, and then you can get even more by getting involved in clubs, like going to see and discuss movies with a film club, or bringing in we brought in a local photographer to tell us about his new book, and he, like, gave us free copies of his book for our intersectionality club. So there's just a lot of really cool opportunities, and Zionsville is really great at connecting with the community and figuring out what we can involve our students in.
So unlike everyone else, I kind of have a general thing to say, kind of like Isabel. So number one, shadow days, really important, already been mentioned, but they really determine where you want to go to high school. I applied to too many high schools. I wish I shadowed before I actually wrote my applications, because then it would have been a lot less work. But yeah, definitely check out the vibe. It's really important. And then number two, it's to take summer school and play a fall sport. As an incoming freshman, you really don't know, you're not going to know that many people. But if you take those, it really exposes you to new groups of people that you really never met before. And so I guess those were the best two ways I made friends, and I recommend every freshman do the same.
Thank you. Very helpful. Well, when I first took this job as alumni coordinator, a teacher came up to me and said, "Oh, well, lucky you. Now you get to get paid for what you do anyway," which is keep in touch with the alumni. And the one thing I do regret is that I never got to have any of you as students, because I wasn't teaching anymore when they were in middle school. But I certainly wish I had the opportunity to have you as students. And I was, what? I had you, right, in advisory. So just like the lyrics and the title of our school song, Our Great Sycamore, nice job. Thank you very much for coming. Thanks. Great job.